Pelvic floor breathing is a really great way to both balance your nervous system, bring yourself into a deeply calm state, and also will help you to release deep ingrained patterns of tension from the pelvic floor. It makes a really amazing exercise that you can use anytime that you need to chill out and release pelvic floor tension. So pelvic floor tension is a really common issue for a lot of men these days. It causes things like premature ejaculation, very strongly linked to that, erectile dysfunction, weak erections. To really maximize your sexual potential, you really want to balance your pelvic floor. And what I want to focus on today is breathing patterns. There's a strong connection between the diaphragm and the pelvic floor. Typically, when there's a lot of diaphragm tension, the pelvic floor is also very strongly tense. It's almost like the pelvic floor is the lower diaphragm, so to speak. As the diaphragm is right here beneath the ribs, the pelvic floor is the base of the torso. So it's almost like this double diaphragmatic type of engagement here. When we breathe in a proper way, you'll learn what that means in this video, we can actually create this fluidity in our pelvic floor so that it engages in the proper way, but it's able to release and relax, which is extremely important. I'm Jonathan White, and I've helped thousands of men from around the world learn to master their sexual energy and manifest their ideal life. Definitely check out my free ebook, which contains legendary exercises for overcoming premature ejaculation. So I'm gonna share 2 different breathing patterns that I have found to be the most effective for releasing pelvic floor tension. It's kind of funny when it comes to breathing exercises, breath work, it's something that's extremely common, but a lot of, from my own personal experience, and I love breath work. I've done just about everything there is. You know, I started out in yoga, lots of pranayama, lots of, Wim Hof type of practices and things like that. But when you're doing breathing very forcefully, very strongly, it often doesn't really help with the underlying issue of nervous system imbalances, and it can just add more tension when you're already stressed out. And when we want to look at the pelvic floor specifically, there's a very strong connection to your nervous system state. So to really be able to release pelvic floor tension, you want to be able to shift into a parasympathetic nervous system state. And in my studies of Taoist practices, Qigong, Neigong, cultivation, I learned of specific Taoist breathing method, which I found incredibly effective, both for deeply calming and relaxing my mind, settling myself. And I started to realize that this breathing pattern, if I focused on a certain engagement, which I'm going to share with you, it created a deep release in my pelvic floor. And like I said, I'm going to share 2 different breathing patterns with you. The first one is going to be a bit more yang, a bit more physically engaging. We're going to be creating a bit of a downward pressure on our pelvic floor to stretch out the pelvic floor muscles. And we're going to use a specific exhale that actually creates the perfect reverse kegel engagement. And then the second breath is the more yin breath. That's one that's going to really settle your nervous system. And after being warmed up by the more active breath, the second breath is going to help you just really deeply melt and release the pelvic floor. Okay, let's get into it. So I recommend doing this either in a sitting position. You could be sitting comfortably in a chair. You could be cross-legged like I am. It would also be great to do this on the floor, laying on your back with your knees raised. So your feet flat on the floor and your knees raised, really whatever's comfortable for you. But you want to have your lower back flat on the floor, ideally when you do this. The first breathing pattern, this is the more yang breathing pattern. First of all, just place your hands on your lower belly. And you're just going to inhale and fill up the belly. You're going to hold the breath in, and you're actually going to think of pressing your belly downward. This is going to feel a little awkward at first. It may take you a bit to feel this, to get it right. Don't worry about it. Just do your best. So you hold the breath in, and you think of pushing your belly down, and you'll feel your diaphragm engage a little bit. And it's like this feeling of your belly's a ball, like it's a bubble, and you're pressing it downward. Just for a few seconds, as long as you can comfortably hold the breath. And then you're going to exhale, release. So inhale, fill up. Exhale, pressing the belly down. So you see how when I do this, so I inhale, I press down so my belly bulges out. It's not, a beach body exercise for sure, but it really helps to stretch out and release pelvic floor tension. Okay, this is the last thing, then we'll have the complete breath, is you're going to exhale in a very specific way. You're going to imagine that you're exhaling through your mouth, through a really small straw or a tube. So it's like your mouth's pressed on that, and you just my lips are pressed together. So you want to pressurize that exhale so it draws it out, and there's this feeling of of pressure. You can exhale for quite a long time by doing this. So just try that exhale and just pay attention to what's happening in your pelvic floor as you do that. So take a breath in, exhale like you're blowing through a small tube. And really focus on relaxing your pelvic floor as you do that. Okay, now we have the complete breathing pattern. So you're going to combine all of that. You're going to inhale, fill up your belly, hold the breath, just think of pressing down into your pelvic floor for a few seconds, and then begin that tube exhale. Inhale, fill up, hold the breath, press down for a few seconds, relax the belly and exhale. Find your own rhythm. You don't want to force this if you're like running out of breath, either in the inhale or the exhale. But after you practice this a little bit, you'll get more comfortable. And this really helps to release your diaphragm and your pelvic floor. And don't worry, the next breath is going to be a lot more relaxing and effortless. So let's do several rounds of this. So inhale. Press the belly down as you hold the breath in. Keep your face relaxed and try to keep your throat relaxed as well. Pressurizing the exhale. Inhale, fill up. Hold the breath, press down for a few seconds. Exhale through the tiny straw. Inhale, fill up. Exhale, pressing down. Blowing through the straw. Really focus on relaxing your pelvic floor on that exhale. Inhale, fill up. Hold, pressurize down. Blowing through a straw. Inhale, fill up. Hold, press down. Exhaling through the straw. This breathing pattern also stimulates your vagus nerve. You may feel this warmth in your belly. You may feel this warmth spreading through your body. Let's do a couple more. Inhale, fill up. Press down. Pressurize the exhale. Inhale. Hold the breath, press down. Pressurize the exhale. Blowing through the straw. Let's do one more. And something to focus on as you're doing that breath hold and pressing downward, you want to feel like your pelvic floor is stretching out, like it's relaxing and it's stretching out. It'll take some time to feel that, but work with that feeling on this round. Here we go. Inhale. Hold the breath. Pressing down, feel the pelvic floor stretching and expanding, opening up. And then pressurized exhale. Okay, and then just pause and just notice how your body feels right now. Is there warmth in your belly? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Just something to be aware of. Does it feel easier to breathe now? Maybe you feel more awareness of your pelvic floor. Maybe it feels a bit more active in a certain way. Just being aware of what this did for you. Okay, now we're going to transition into the more yin breathing. This is a really nice settling breath. So first of all, you can place your hands on your belly and just notice your natural breathing pattern right now. Don't try to make anything happen. And I recommend to inhale and exhale through the nostrils if you're able to. And now I want you just to think of Rather than thinking of you're making yourself inhale and exhale, think of it as an encouragement. You're encouraging your belly to expand so that you take in some air. But you're not going to go to your maximum. Only go to about 70%. So a very effortless inhale. Very smooth, very quiet. We're not doing loud pranayamic breathing. Very, very gentle, quiet breathing. Just allow the inhale to happen at whatever rate is comfortable for you, whatever speed. Maybe it's 3 seconds, maybe it's 8 seconds, whatever's comfortable for you. And transitioning to the exhale, I want you to think of this deep release happening in your belly. Like instead of thinking of pushing the air out, it's like you come to the top of the inhale, and then you just melt and relax. And you just make the exhale as effortless as you can. At the bottom of the exhale, you smoothly transition into that effortless inhale. Effortlessly transition to that smooth, relaxed exhale by releasing, deeply relaxing. It's like your belly melts. So again, we're only inhaling about 70% of our capacity. You're not exhaling to 100% capacity. You're only exhaling about 70%. So it's this it may seem shallow in some ways compared to deeper breathing exercises, but what you'll find is that you'll get into this deep space of effortlessness. And now I want you to guide your mind down to the pelvic floor. And just think of breathing into the pelvic floor. Not forcefully like we were doing before, but just very gently. It's more of this feeling that the pelvic floor is melting as you inhale. And the lower belly expands effortlessly. And then you melt both the pelvic floor and the belly as you exhale. So you think of a release. It's like a wave of release to the pelvic floor and belly, starting that very smooth, effortless inhale. And then it's another wave of release into that smooth exhale. You shouldn't feel like you're forcing, straining. You shouldn't feel short of breath. Like if you need to take a 2-second inhale and exhale, that's fine. You just find your natural, effortless rhythm with this. And just think of how relaxed and quiet can I make this inhalation and exhalation. And just think of your pelvic floor as if it was honey, dripping, melting. As you inhale, it melts and releases. You direct your breath down into it a bit. As you exhale, it melts and releases. And you can even pinpoint your mind in the anus. Feel like you're relaxing your butthole, okay? And really melting from that region. So let's just do a couple more minutes here together. Just continuing to do everything I've talked about. You can even count your inhalations and exhalations just to give your mind something else to focus on in coordination with the deep releasing, the deep relaxation. So you very gently feel the belly expand to the front and also slightly expand downward, slightly inflating the pelvic floor very subtly as you inhale. And as you relax, everything releases back towards the center effortlessly. And really feel like your pelvic floor is initiating the inhale and the exhale. You feel the smooth movement of tissues down there with each breath. It's very subtle. But the more you pay attention to this, relax your mind, settle it down there, the more you'll start to feel this very gentle engagement of the pelvic floor. And of course, you can continue doing this as long as you want. But for now, we're just going to close up the practice. Okay, so that is pelvic floor release breathing. It's best to practice it in a very focused way where you're just doing that. You know, maybe you're laying on the ground, getting this deep release happening. But once you get familiar with this breathing pattern, you can start to incorporate it throughout the day. You know, maybe you're sitting around, you're commuting to work, you have a moment here and there to just do a minute or two of this breathing exercise, which is going to help you last longer in bed. You may find that your erections get better. You may even find that your flaccid penis fullness improves because this will increase circulation into that area as well as balancing your nervous system. So very calming and a lot of sexual benefits. So don't forget to do your pelvic floor breathing. As far as how long to do it, you know, even a few minutes is going to have benefit. My recommendation is to spend 5 to 10 minutes a day doing this breathing practice in a focused way. And if you do other practices such as Qigong or yoga, you know, some of the other sexual Kung Fu work, you can actually incorporate this breathing into your Qigong practice or into your yoga practice, and it will have great benefit. So now what I recommend that you do is watch my video on using a tennis ball to release the pelvic floor. You can use this breathing in coordination with that exercise to create a deep pelvic floor release. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about this practice, and I'm curious what you experience from doing it. Love to hear from you. Please give this video a like, and best wishes to you, my friend. Take care.